Mock. Peru is set up in 24 districts. Like we have states, they have districts. Or provinces, if you want to call them. There's 24 of them. So we were in, I like to look at it this way, we were in Lima, which is the capital of Peru. We were in Lima. Everything we did was in Lima, but it was an offshoot of Lima. So like, for example, in North Kingstown, Wickford is part of North Kingstown. Slocum is part of North Kingstown, but it's all North Kingstown. Well, in Lima, they've got other, shall we say, towns, or suburbs or something like that that's part of it. Where we went to was in Pachacamac, and then we also went to Ventanilla and then Villa El Salvador. Those three churches are the ones that we ministered in Lima itself. So this is the first one. Now, remember we were showing pictures of the building that Pastor DeSent put up? Well, the building that he put up is in a gated community. So when you come up to this, there's a front way and a back way, and it's all uphill. And the funny thing is, a lot of vehicles there are standard. So you've got a clutch you got to lose. So you can imagine going up those hills, and there's speed bumps going up the hills. So it's a pain in the neck. So it does a lot of damage on the clutch. But it's a gated community, so you can only get into that community when you go up to the guard shack. So this is it. So this is the first part of the place in Pachacamac that we went to. All right. Now, the building the Pastor DeSent made is very modern. It's extremely modern. It's a nice metal building, cement building, which is very, very modern. And what he does is he's got 5 floors. The very first floor has this sanctuary. We'll see a picture of that. And then the second floor is like for Sunday school. The third floor is where I stayed. I stayed in room 5. And there was a bunch of rooms there and bathrooms. And then that's where Mike and I stayed. The fourth floor also has rooms. That's where Pastor DeSent's son, Obadiah, stayed. He had a room all to himself too. And then there's also this huge, I don't think I took pictures of it. Well, I did, but I didn't put them on here. There's a huge apartment style place in there also for where missionary families come. So there's got a kitchen there, it's got a bathroom, it's got bedrooms, and that's all separate for missionaries that come in. That's on the 4th. Then the top deck, the 5th floor, is where they have like functions. They've got like a grill up there. They've got what do you call those things? A fire pit up there. They got water. There's bathrooms up there too. And it's just very, very modern. So this is room 5 that I stayed in. And this is the accommodations in there. So it's very, very modern, as you can see. The bed was very comfortable. You got a table and chairs. You got a hanger. It was just very, very nicely set up. So this is where I had home base here. And then Mike had another. This is on the first floor. This is the sanctuary there. Now, if you see in the front there, that little glass cabinet there, they've got hymn books in there. They've got Bibles in there. And different things like that are in there. And then they got the setup for the music and things like that. But you can see it's just very modern. It's very, very modern, very well put. So that's that. Okay, now, from up on the roof, on the 5th story, looking out, this is what you can see there. Now, I'm going to, you can see, with it being a gated community, there's a lot of other spots that are available. Not everybody has laid claim there. One of the other pictures we're going to show in a second, not just yet, it's going to show different lots that are there. But if you look in the lower right-hand corner, do you see all that greenery there? They have a lot of parks. They're big on children there. And so they have a lot of parks for the kids that'll have basketball courts, soccer fields, and you'll see them all over the place. Like in the Meridians, like what we have, they'll have parks there where the kids, and you'll always see kids out there playing. Education is very good there, so they're very big on children. So this is just one of the parks. This goes for miles, this gated community there. So the church is there, and then all these other things are all other houses that are there. So actually right next to the church, somebody else has a plot there, and it's like right up to the church. And then there's also room in front too. Can we see the next one too? All right, so this is also looking out again from there. You can see very mountainous. The Andes Mountains are there. So the chain of mountains that's called the Andes Mountains, it's just absolutely gorgeous. But you can see that line going up the mountain there. They've already started planting trees there too. It's a very arid, very dry place where there's not a lot of vegetation, and they're already starting to put stuff up there too. All right, next picture. Okay, this is what I wanted to show you. I don't know if you guys can see this. See the white there? Those are all plots. So somebody has bought those plots and they're going to build there. So this is the church. You're looking down from the church. All these different places are plots where people are going to be building. So they literally will build right up to the church. So if they had a door there, they would have to close that off and reroute it to somewhere else. But they're all different plots there. You can see this one is already starting to be dug out. So that's going to be one there. You can also see that park a lot better too. That's up there too. So that's looking down from there. Okay, next picture. All right, so you remember Pastor Descent. That's Pastor Descent, and I don't know who that character with the hat is, but I don't know why he's there. But then you remember Michael. Michael's next. And then Pastor Obadiah, Pastor Descent's son, who took over Historic Baptist, is the other one there. And as you can see, this is Pachacamac. We've gone to a museum that was there. So that's that one. I'm probably right in the way. Can you next picture? All right. Now, where we went to, I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. There's a famous Inca place over there. What is it? I can't think of it. What? Machu Picchu, yes. We didn't get a chance to go there because it was further away, but they had one just like that in Pachacamac. Another one, I think it's an Inca settlement. I don't think it's the Mayans. I think it's an Inca settlement. And this is all of what they have excavated there. There's just all kinds of buildings that they've dug up that are there. And of course, it was kind of up on a hill too. But this was inside that museum that we went to. So this was in Pachacamac. You can see that in the upper left-hand corner. All right, next picture. All right, this is also another picture of Peru. Now, if you guys remember the missionaries that went to the oh boy, what was their name now? Jim Elliot and all of them. They went to Ecuador. I didn't really, for some reason, I thought it was in the South Pacific where they went. They went to Ecuador, and that's where they were martyred there. But Ecuador is not that far from where we were. Now, we were in Lima. Lima kind of has the line going right to it. That's where Lima is, and Pachacamac is down from there. That's where we were staying, was in Lima. But Ecuador is up further, and then you got Brazil, Bolivia, all these different places. But we were based in Lima, the capital, and went out from there. But I had no idea that Ecuador was that, well, fairly close. I mean, it's not super close. I think Pastor Descent said that if you were to put Peru and the United States, it would go from Texas and up to, I don't remember where he said exactly where it was, but it would go up from there. So it would fit right in the States, but it's a very big country. All right, next picture. Okay, now up on the top there, that very top, that was where the Inca temple was. Now, as you remember, they used to have human sacrifices and stuff like that. So where they built was an elevated place. And that was, we had a chance to actually walk up there. It was kind of cool to go up there. But that upper piece right there is where they're still excavating, but that was up where they had the main temple there, their worship place, if you want to put it that way. Okay, next picture. Okay, this is inside the museum there. They had like a display of what it looked like, what they have gone through already. And these are all the different buildings and everything that they had there. I don't know if I have a picture of it, but if you look on the right-hand side, there's kind of like a building that kind of stands out by itself. That was, I don't know exactly what you would call it. It was, they used to house the virgins there for the priests. And then, of course, you know, babies would be born, and that's what they offered for the sacrifices up at the temple. But it was a very beautiful building, I guess, at the time. But that's what they used to have there. Okay, next picture. All right, so this is a picture of us walking up there. So as you can see, it was a kind of overcast day, but we're heading up to where that temple was. But you can see the walls and everything. See the bricks that they used? Really interesting and intricate, the stuff that they did there. But you had to walk up. It was a very long way going up. Okay, next picture. So here you can see even more the bricks that they used. Now think about it. It was mostly clay that they used, clay and dirt. It wasn't like what we use with concrete now. And yet look how long this lasted. just decades that it's been there. But this is one of the main walls, and you can see how some of the outer coating has come off of it to reveal those bricks. But it's really neat. Next. All right, this is an even better picture of what that temple looked like at that time. And this is showing what they had excavated to that point and everything, showing the different structures that are there. That was that there. Okay, next. Okay, when we went to Lima itself, we did do some sightseeing. It wasn't all strictly ministry. There was other things that we did. But when we went to Lima, this was right in the center of the city. We ate there or whatever. I just thought that was neat to just show that we had gone to Lima and how they had that little thing. This is on our way to Lima, looking down. I mean, it looks like pretty much any other city or town in the States. I mean, until you get closer, they got the skyscrapers and things like that too. So it's a very modern type of city, Lima is. Next one. Okay, this is the presidential palace. So this is where the president resides, which is just very, very elaborate. I don't know if I took pictures. The next one's going to show it, but on the other side, all the state people would be. And they were pretty elaborate. It was all like in a U shape, but the palace was like right dead center there. So that's the presidential palace. All right, now this is where we did most of the ministry. This was in Ventanilla. And of course, now I'm going to be able to remember exactly what it says because I don't know Spanish. But it was Iglesia Baptista, I guess, of Ventanilla, I think is what it might have been. But again, it's a fairly modern looking structure for the church building that they had there. Next picture. So now this is going inside it. This is looking into the sanctuary ahead, and they're very missions minded. Like I told you, Peru has 24 different departments. And what we're looking to do, I'm including myself in this, is to get missionaries in every single department that's there. And this is looking into the sanctuary, going in. Next, this is going right in there. I tried to figure it out. I think there was like 20 some odd pews coming down each side. And then I figured, each spot or whatever would hold like 6 people per. So I mean, it could hold probably like 100 people, or I think it might have been 98 I counted, but if you put a couple more on some of those benches, it can hold a lot of people. And these services were packed out. But look at all the flags that they have of all the countries that they support. And you can see the United States is right up there in the front on the right-hand side. So this was getting set up for the service. Next. All right, and again, I don't know who that character in the top is, but the other two I can clearly see that's Obadiah and Pastor Mike there. So it was a conference. This was 31, you can see that anniversary, and that's what it is. The 31st anniversary of that church that they were celebrating. They're very big on anniversaries over there, special occasions. So when we went there was services Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, it was just services the entire time because it's a big to-do. They a lot of hype for it and doing different things. So they had a conference, and all 3 of us had a chance to preach, which was really good. Next. The music was excellent. Now, like I said, one of these pictures, I think will show it too. They sing hymns like we would, but only in Spanish or whatever. So a lot of the times I would hear the tune and I'd say, oh, I recognize that. Like Count Your Blessings, we sang that. That was one of the ones. I remember I was like, man, I recognize that tune. And I'm thinking how it goes, because of course they're singing it in Spanish. I can't understand it. But I recognize the tune. I said, oh, that's Count Your Blessings. So I was able to sing along in English or whatever. But now, Pastor Oba, he did the Old Rugged Cross, and he sang it through in English, and then he sang it in Spanish, which was really good. And that's all the guys that do instruments there, which it was just really, really good. Okay, so this is some of the songs they sing. Now, of course, I do not know Spanish, but their songs would be similar to what we... Some of them were different. Some of them I didn't recognize, but they're in Spanish, but they're all singing praises to the Lord. So that's one example of that. Next, there's them playing again. They had the bass guitar, they had acoustic guitar, they had the piano, the keyboard there. The music was just very, very good. Very, very good. Next, there's another example of it too. Another song that they were singing as well. Next. Okay, so I told you that children are big over there. You can see that they're very big over there. They're very big on children. So this was, again, like I told you, it was an anniversary, so they had a special segment where the children came out and they all sang. And they all sang different songs. And now, as you notice, the ladies wear head coverings. Now, do they do that at Curtis Corner? Okay, I used to go to a church when I was down in South Carolina, and the ladies wear head covering too. But here in this church, they wear head coverings, the ladies do. The ones that are in blue are the Sunday school teachers, and then of course all the ones in red are all the different children. And it just goes right on up to high school. So there was just a lot of children there. It was just really, really good to see them. Next. All right, this is funny. Now, of course, I couldn't understand it. Some pastor had to kind of explain it to me. But this was a skit that they did, and the guys teaching the Sunday school class. The girl in the back, let's see, she would be second from left. What it was she was a gossiper. And so what they had with the skit is different kids would get up and be on their phone and they'd walk out or whatever. And she'd go, oh, that one always shows up late to class and she doesn't ever pay attention. And then another one would be sitting there and they'd be on their phone. Oh, that one's just always talking on their phone. They don't pay. And she was just gossiping to that other girl on the far left about everyone that wasn't paying attention. But of course, with her gossiping, she's not paying attention either. But it was just a little skit that they did. It was kind of fun. So that was good. Okay, so here we go. Now, so this is going to give you an indication of the different departments that they have that are in Peru, the different ones. And then, of course, you got the outskirts there as well, and the different names of them. I'm not even going to try to pronounce them all. But that's the different departments that they have in Peru. And then you got Chile. Now, while we were there, he will be. He's going to be in the latter set of pictures that I have there. There was a missionary that was from Brazil, and how he found out about this, of course, I don't speak Spanish, but he somehow found out about the conference, ended up coming down. This guy is a missionary in Brazil to 5 different people groups. He knows 5. Now, I would imagine that over there, I'm not positive on this, but I would think over there, Spanish has different dialects. So you've got 5 different people groups he ministers into Brazil that all have their own dialect, and he knows them all. I mean, the guy was just super, super smart. His name was Nestor, I believe it was. All right, next. All right, so this is, you see Mrs. Descent in the middle, and then Mike, Oba, and myself. I did not wear shorts. I did not want to get burned. I was told, make sure you wear a hat. I don't know why they said that, but they told me to wear a hat, so I said, okay, I'll wear a hat. So I wore my hat. Next. All right, this was also on the way up to the place in Pachacamac. Like I said, it was all uphill. They had a place where you could pull over and take pictures, and it looked over. But again, you can see the range in the back, and it was just absolutely beautiful. Not a lot of green because it's very dry. It only rained once while we were there, and that was Saturday into Sunday. They normally don't get rain. So very dry, very dusty, but just, I mean, you can see the mountains are just everywhere. And everywhere you go, you're usually going up and down a mountain. Next. Like I said, I had a chance to preach down there. I preached on Thursday and Friday, and then Oba, I think, preached Friday, Saturday, a little bit on Sunday, and then Mike did a lot too. Now, Mike, when he preached, he did his sermons in Spanish. He wrote them out and he read them, but it was all in Spanish, so he did a really, really good job. But the thing is, they told us, wear stuff that you don't mind getting dirty or you don't mind discarding when you go back home because it was so dusty down there. So I had this jacket that I didn't really care if I parted with it or whatever. So I wore that. It was 80 degrees down there. And they don't have AC down there. And there's all those bodies in there. So you can imagine it was just so uncomfortable. I was just totally drenched with sweat. But I got the chance to preach. So it was enjoyable. And Pastor was interpreting for me. Okay, so here you can see where the different churches are. So Ventanilla was Pastor Luis's church. Now, we as a group are trying to get him to come over to the States. That's why we wrote that letter. We're trying to get Pastor Luis to come to the States and go to the different churches. We're supposed to have him September 11th, I think it is. That Sunday, we're supposed to have him come here. If he can get the okay to come over here. He's got to get a visa and all that kind of stuff. That's the Ventanilla Church. The church that Pastor Sent initially had is in Villa El Salvador. That was the other church where he first went. And then Pachacamac is the one that I showed you pictures of the sanctuary. They have meetings there as well. So that's the three churches in Lima, but it's still in Lima proper. Okay, next. And that's us again. There we are with Pastor Descent. That was at the coast. So that's the Pacific Ocean behind us. So we got our pictures taken there as well. And then we ate at that restaurant, actually, that's right to the right there. It was very, very good. So that's a picture of Descent and us. Okay, that's another one. So probably on Friday. So I did Thursday and Friday. I don't know if I had different pants on, you would see. Of course, I did have to do laundry because I was just totally drenched. Pastor Luis is the one in front in the middle there. And I think that's Nestor right next to him. The guy I was telling you about, that's from Brazil. And then Pastor's interpret. As you can see in 1347, that's their verse. That's the verse that they have for I think they're probably their church verse or whatever. So that was that next. The children singing, and I don't even know how many there were. There was just so many of them. And you see the little ones in the front, they were cute too. The little kids, because they don't have a clue what's going on. Next. All right, there's Pastor Descent, Suzanne, and then the rest of us. And that was, I think, before the service. They were getting ready for it. So, and they're having a really good time over there. It's a blessing. Okay, now, I'm going to know what this guy's name. The guy in the middle there was one of the brothers of one of the guys that was, I think it was Juan. Juan's father. That was Juan's father. I don't think I might have a picture of him. I'm not sure. That was his father. He wanted to make sure. They're big on pictures over there. You got to have pictures for everything. So that was that. Next. Again, I told you the anniversaries are a big shindig down there. They had a cake and everything for that. Pastor Luis is the one on the left, right next to me. He's the one that we're trying to get to come over here. And if he does, obviously we'll have an interpreter. Does not speak English. Nestor is the one right next to Pastor Descent that I told you is the missionary to Brazil. Next. And that is Pastor Luis and his wife, and then Pastor Descent, Suzanne. And I guess, does Felice mean happy? Happy? All right, so happy anniversary. So, and it was, I didn't get to have any of the cake, but it looked very good. Next. Okay, we'll skip the next one. That's really bad. That was probably one of those nights too. That was another chance to preach. Is that totally it? Wow, we went through everything? Oh, wow, very good. Wow, I actually did okay then. All right, very, very good. All right, so that was the trip. Is there any questions? Does anyone have any questions about the trip at all? It was very, very good. It was very good. Like I said, I did not want to go at the outset. I was like, I was going because I kind of had to. But it's usually those times that you do something like that you usually get a blessing. Like the Lord kind of deals with you about that. And it was. The plane ride over and back was so cramped. I could not sleep. It was very, very cramped. But once you got there, it was very, very good. The people, like I said, they're super, super friendly. Very, very friendly. Very loving, very caring. And again, like I said, there was speed bumps everywhere. It's funny because they do have some traffic lights and nobody pays attention to them. It can be red and they just blow right through them anyway. They just don't care. Beeping, constantly people are beeping. They don't wear seatbelts. You'll have a 3-lane road. They'll make it into a 5 or a 6 lane. They do whatever they want to do. They will do whatever you want to do. Now, along the way, on probably a couple of the days, we did notice that they had set up checkpoints, and the police were stopping random people just to see who they were, where they're going, what they had. We didn't ever have to worry about that. We're able to go right on through. We didn't have to contend with that. But I did see that a couple of times. You would see police presence at the shops, things like that, so they were or anything like that. Normally, if you went there and you were trying to shop, you normally could dicker with the people about a price. If I'm not mistaken, their currency there is like a third of what ours is. So like if you have I'm going to explain it this way if I'm doing this right. If you take our American dollar, their money would be like a third of that. So obviously ours goes a lot further, and they don't mind that. Some of the churches that we went to, they would take American dollars and then they would just convert it into their currency or whatever. So you really didn't have to worry about that. You can use your credit card over there, stuff like that. The food was very good. Again, a lot of times we would go out to eat somewhere, so it was more modern. You can't go wrong with chicken, so a lot of times I would get chicken. You only drink bottled water because you didn't want to get anything. The only time I thought, well, maybe I was going to get sick was Sunday afternoon. They had church on the like a picnic on the grounds, and the ladies did the cooking. And of course, rice is big over there, so they got a lot of rice. White rice is a big thing. So you had your white rice, and I think what I got was like a chicken leg. I had that, which that was fine. That was a problem. But then there was like this sauce over the chicken, over the rice, and what was in that? It was like a creamy sauce. I recognized peas and carrots in it. I didn't question anything. I probably should. No, probably good I didn't. There was these chunks in there, these square chunks in there. What I thought was onion was fat. So I bit into that and I was like, oh man. And you don't want to offend anybody, so you just eat it. And then of course Oba comes along and says, oh, I don't want that. He goes, can I just get some rice, please? And they just gave him rice. He was fine. So I was like, you mean I could have done that? So that was the only time I thought I was going to not get sick. It was fine. Mrs. Descent had, what were they called now?
Oil of oregano.
Pills. And she just faithfully gave us to them every single day. And you take that, and you're fine. You don't got to worry about it. She did do a lot of cooking. The bread over there is unbelievable. The bread is always fresh. So it's not been sitting out for a long time. They bake it that day. When it's gone, it's gone. You got to wait. So sometimes we would go there, and they would be closed. And then I think Pastor and Oba went out one morning early and were able to get bread, and then we had that with our breakfast or whatever. But the bread is phenomenal. It's hard outside, but it's all soft and airy inside. It's just really, really good. So she made meals when we were over there. It was long days. We'd probably get up about 6, maybe 7 in the morning, and you'd go to like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and we'd be driving home. So it was long, long days. And like I said, there were speed bumps all over the place. Now, Pastor was in the process of buying a van. Pastor Descent was in the process of buying a van, which was going to be standard. They gave him a car, or I should say like an SUV. In the meantime, till he got that van, that was automatic. So that was nice. So he didn't really have any trouble driving over the speed bumps. But like I said, a lot of times you're going uphill, and it's a lot. It's a lot. Now, you saw Pastor Carrier in there too. Pray for him. He's got back problems, so you can imagine those speed bumps were just tearing him up. And of course, Pastor Descent wouldn't always see the speed bumps, so he'd hit them and you'd go flying, and I'd be sitting next to Mike and hear him go, oh, like because he was so hurting. We went out with him last night, and Beth was asking him. He's supposed to get some shots, I guess, for his back. He wasn't able to get him yet, but just
Get him a couple times he went.
Yeah, and he was denied. So pray for him. He's again the same one that they had the flooding in his church. They had the nosy neighbor that said that they're encroaching on wetlands. Said they got to fix that. It's going to be probably $70,000, maybe more dollars that they got to fix everything. So he's dealing with that right now, which is just a big mess. Yeah, I mean, well, they probably got about 75 maybe. He took the ministry over. It's a little bit bigger. But yeah, do pray because they got a lot going on there. Pray about Pastor Luis coming here. A bunch of us pastors wrote letters on behalf of him. Like I said, we're supposed to have him, which reminds me, that day that we're going to have him is a Thursday night. So what we're going to do is change our Wednesday service to the Thursday service. So we'll have a Thursday night service instead of Wednesday night. if indeed he can come. We're in the process of getting that. And they'll probably get, do you guys know Tim Kewen? Do you know him at all? Okay, he's a pastor up in Central Falls. He has a Spanish church, and he's an English guy, and his Spanish is unbelievable. He can go from English to Spanish like nothing. He's just amazing. So he'll probably be the one that comes down and interprets for Pastor Luis, but I think he's going to really enjoy coming here. But it was funny because he was mentioning to his church when he heard Pastor, now of course I didn't do Spanish, but when Pastor Oba sang in Spanish, and then of course Mike was preaching in Spanish, when he said that, he goes, you know, this is really a, I don't know what the word is, indictment upon us that we're not looking to learn English. So he realized that they really should be learning another language as well, so that the communication could be a lot better. So I think he was actually kind of looking into that. But it was a very good time. Do I want to go back? Yeah, I do. It was definitely well worth it. It was very, very good. The next time we go, we would probably be going more up to like the Amazon and places like that, because there's a lot of churches in the bush that are outside of Peru and on the outskirts of Peru that are in the jungle where they have churches. So we probably get a chance to go there. I'm not looking forward to eating monkey, so hopefully I can bring something else with me, like peanut butter, or maybe, I don't know, something else, but don't want to do that. But they do eat stuff like that there. But they actually support some people that are missionaries there. Like I said, that guy Nestor, he's one of them that he lives up there too. But it was very good. So also, I'll say this and then I'll close. I was able to bring some clothing down, and Pastor Oba bought like 5 suits that he brought down to hand out to the men. Normally, the ladies are the ones that usually get a lot of the clothing. They make out like bandits down there. But we were able to bring some stuff down too. So I had a lot of, actually it was a lot of good stuff too that I brought down there as well. Some shorts and pants and shirts. Ties, I brought ties down. I got to tell you the story about that. It was kind of funny too. But so on Saturday night, well, like I said, they got benches. They don't have chairs like we do. They got benches, which they weren't very comfortable actually. It's probably good so you don't fall asleep. But what happened was Saturday night, because we were itching to have the guys go through this stuff, I brought my suitcase and Oba brought his, and we just opened them up. And then I kind of took the stuff out and set it down. And my goodness, those guys were just there. Like in no time at all, they were there. Just going through the stuff and looking at it and taking stuff, which was really good. So I had bought a carry-on and a suitcase to bring down there, because you're only allowed a certain amount. I had a backpack, I had my carry-on, and then the suitcase I had checked through all the way or whatever. It was pretty heavy. So when it was all said and done, and my suitcase was empty and I was getting ready to take it, Pastor Luis looks at me and looks at the suitcase and goes like this. He wanted the suitcase, so I couldn't tell him no. I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's fine, you can take it. So he got a free suitcase out of it too. And of course he got some of the stuff too. So it was funny, I had some football ties that I was bringing down. So I had them, because I don't wear them. So I had a Green Bay Packers tie, I had a Seattle Seahawks tie, and I don't know, I had some various other ones too. I can't remember all the ones. I had a lot of ties I brought down. And so, these guys through all that stuff. So the next day, Sunday, it was funny. Here comes Pastor Luis strolling. He's got a Seahawks tie on. I don't think he had any clue what he was wearing at all, but it was just, he probably got it because of the colors. But he is waltzing in with a brand new tie on the Seahawks. It was really funny. I said, look, he's a Seahawks fan. It was funny. And then some of the other guys had some of the stuff on. But it was just to see their happiness was worth it all. You know what I mean? It really was. Now, I bought Beth, was it a sweater that I got you? I got her a sweater. It is not really the one I wanted to get. Llamas and alpacas, right? They're very big over there. They got farms for them and stuff like that. And they'll use, would it be their wool that they use? So they'll use their wool or whatever. And like I said, you go to these stores, they'll just have piles of clothes all over the place. and they're selling it, and they'll tell you how much. And like I said, normally you can dicker with them. But of course, if they see you're an American, it's going to be a little harder to. So normally I would have like Juan with me, and he would kind of like be my spokesperson, and he'd kind of like get them to dumb it down some. No, I got that. I got you. Oh, I got her. Yeah, I did. I got her some sloths. I did. Hugging sloths. I had to get something with sloths. So I got her 2 hugging sloths because she collects sloths. So there was this one place we went to, and all of the stuff was made from alpaca. And I mean, it was super, super nice. And that's what I wanted to get her. $425 American money. They would not budge on that. And I can understand. It's probably a very good type of wool, whatever. So I was like, okay, fine. Well, is there anything cheaper? So I ended up getting one that I think was part alpaca and part monkey or something like that. I don't know. It was something. It was a mix. But so I got her that, and it was a little bit better. It smells a little bit like monkey, but when she wears it, but that's okay. I'm usually downwind from her. No, it was a little bit alpaca and something else. I don't remember what it was, but it worked out fine. But it was very, very good. One thing I will say too, when we were in when we were there, we went to a Catholic church, very old Catholic church. It might have been in Lima. Well, everything was in Lima. But a very old Catholic church that had catacombs under the church. I don't know if I told you this before or not. There was catacombs under the church. I had no idea that I was claustrophobic till I went in this place. Everything, low ceilings, very narrow passageways, but the guide took us along. The only thing I really enjoyed was the library. They had this beautiful library with the spiral staircases. Remember from like Music Man? Remember those? Oh, it's just like that on both sides. Beautiful wooden staircases going up. I was like, oh, you couldn't take pictures. But the lady let us take one of that, so I have one picture of that, which was really cool. They had a really old Bible there. That was the only thing I cared about. So then we went down into the catacombs, and it was very, very disturbing. Because you went down there, and you got this narrow passage where you walk in all these different rooms, and it didn't matter where you went. On either side was these glass cases full of bones. They said there was 25,000 people that died down there. So when people died, they would just throw them down there, and then they would just decompose, and then I guess, I don't know, they would collect the bones. They were saying that like the rib cage and other smaller bones just disintegrate. So these were mostly like femurs and skulls and maybe arm bones that they had. But these cases were full of bones. And then you have ones that were full of skulls. And you're just going row by row by row, room by room, and they're just all over the place. And it smelled kind of musty down there. I didn't like that either. But you're looking at all this, going along, and I couldn't help but think, how many of these people were really saved? That's what I mean. They're Catholic. So you're talking about, I mean, or even if we were to say 20,000, let's say 20,000 instead of 25,000, 20,000 people that went out into eternity not knowing Christ. And it just really brought it home, the importance of getting the gospel, and you just saw this. They said that there was one point in time, because when you went up into the church sanctuary itself, they had vents in the floor. They said the stench from the rotting bodies down there got so bad that people were getting typhoid fever from the smell coming up through the vents, that people were just all over the place from the smell. So it was very, very disturbing. That was one part I did not like about the trip. I didn't like that. But I will say this too. When we were upstairs, outside of the catacombs, and you were walking along, they had these beautiful murals. And they were all done on, I think it was leather, I think they said, because you would touch it, and it had like a leather feel to it, but beautiful mosaics of the saints, what they would call saints, and depicting different pictures. That was kind of, and these date back to like the 13th century or something like that, just really, really old. But it was very, very good. It was very, very good. Now, we didn't get to go to Machu Picchu, like you were talking about, but the one we went to in Pachacamac, that was very good. It was definitely very good. It was a very enjoyable time. It was educational, but it was very enjoyable, and it was definitely a blessing because you blessed people, and then in turn you were blessed as well. So it was very good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close in prayer, and then we can go ahead and